All right, so we missed the opportunity to really talk about this kind of confusing looking graph in class today for the B day students, and for the A day students we talked a little bit about this, but it still might be confusing to you. So I just want to go over what this graph is kind of showing us, and then I'm going to let you try to interpret it a little bit on your own. The first thing I would do if I were you is, because I look at this and I think that's pretty confusing looking. So there is an option here to turn off some of this information, what we don't need at the moment. So I'm going to hit that little eyeball there. It's going to kind of move some of that information away. So now what I really want to focus on is this. It does tell me to look at the title of this first. There are helpful hints here as well. But the title is Average Monthly Day Length Temperature by Location. So I know what day length is. There are 24 hours in a day. Day length is just the amount of light that happens during the day. I also know what temperature is. It's the amount of heat that we feel. So we measure that here in the United States in degrees Fahrenheit. I also know that location just means place. When I look at this graph, the immediate thing that I notice is the list of locations with the colors. And so I'm looking at those, and I recognize those as places on Earth. Anchorage is a city, and so is Brasilia, Buenos Aires, Mexico, Palmer Station, Quito, and San Francisco. All of these are cities. Or in the case of Palmer Station, that is a research base in Antarctica. I know this just from my prior knowledge. All right, so that's the first thing I notice. I notice that each one of those has its own color, and I would guess that that corresponds with the color on the graph. This is maybe not like a graph that you've seen often. This is called a scatter plot graph. So you'll see these dots or plots scattered on this, but for this particular graph, they are going up, straight up and down. I notice on the y-axis, the average, that's telling us the average monthly day length. So all the way from 2 hours to 22 hours of day length. On the bottom, I'm noticing latitude. So right in the middle, 0 degrees latitude, that would be the equator. Anything positive of 0 would be north of the equator. Anything negative of 0 would be south of the equator. So you'll notice that Palmer Station, that's the pink on the far left, is the furthest to the left of 0, or the furthest south of the equator. That makes sense. The South Pole, Antarctica, that is the furthest south part of the Earth. You'll also notice over on the right, Anchorage, which is green, is going to be pretty far north. All right. So you're going to be asked to notice some patterns. When they talk about range, they're talking about how wide are those plots scattered. All right. So you'll notice for Palmer Station in Antarctica on the left, that's a pretty wide range. The scatters are pretty much all along that line there. And for Quito, which is just about right on the equator, it's not spread out. The range is very small. So notice those things. At some point, they will tell you to drag the average monthly temperature to the y-axis. Remember, y-axis is up and down, x-axis is horizontal or side to side. So when you are asked to do that, you can just tap on the attribute in this case card, which is on the left, that you want to drag, and you can drag it to the y-axis. That will change the data and how it looks on the graph here. Other than that, those are kind of the brief tips that I have. I want you to really pay attention, try to understand what you're seeing, We will talk more about it next week.